This conference will now be recorded.
Everybody, and I hope you had a safe journey to wherever you're zooming in from. This is Jim Darling here. I made it over to the Westico today, so we'll do the roll call for a quorum, please.
Mayor Jim Darling,
Present.
Judge Aurelio Guerra, Mayor Ambrosio Hernandez, Mayor Chris Boswell, Commissioner Nurik Mayor David Suarez, Commissioner David Garza,
I'm on it.
Commissioner David Fuentes.
Present.
I'm here.
Oh, I see, is that Commissioner Eleazar Guajardo for Mayor Hernandez? That's him, right next to. Oh, where was I? Commissioner Pilar Garza? I see her. Councilman Johnny Garcia is on the phone line, I believe.
Present.
Commissioner Rick Salinas,
Here.
Mayor Henry Hinojosa. He was on the phone line. Mayor Pro Tem Nori Gonzalez Garza. I see her square, and I see Mayor Armando Ocaña.
If she's not present, I'll be present, but if she's present, she'll be the lead.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry, I was unmuted.
Mayor George Rivera from Palm Valley. We already talked to him. Mayor David Cush is verified. Commissioner Edward Gonzalez. Is Mayor Ben Gomez from San Benito on the line? Commissioner Marco Villegas from San Juan. Ms. Veronica Gonzalez.
I'm here.
Mr. Paul Hernandez.
I'm here.
Mr. Javier De Leon.
Here.
Mr. Troy Allen. Mr. Ronald Mills. The Honorable Norma G. Garcia. Mrs. Norma G. Garcia. Ms. Celeste Sanchez. I see her there. I see you, Ms. Sanchez. Commissioner Jesse Zuniga. Don't see him. And Ms. Christina Patino-Hu. 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum, and so we'll call the meeting to order, and a couple rules help us. If you're going to make a motion, can you announce who you are, because it's hard to see everybody on the screen. And if you're going to vote, you could say aye, but also please raise your hand so we can do the count. I appreciate that very much. I've been assigned to do the invocation. I hope everybody can hear me. Everybody raise your hand, can hear me? Okay, good. Then if you please bow your head. Our Lord in heaven, please grant our members of the Lower Rio Grande Development Council the wisdom to make the best decisions for all the members of our board, but also for the communities that we serve. Please grant us the patience to listen to each other and consider everybody's opinion. Please protect our citizens from the COVID-19 pandemic, and please grant them the spirit of responsibility to keep masked and keep safe and keep social distancing so that we can go back to normal life as we know it in our lovely Rio Grande Valley. In your holy name, we pray, amen.
Amen.
Are we gonna do a pledge of allegiance?
Sarah, do we have a flag?
Okay, we got a flag. Everybody go stand up and do the pledge of allegiance.
Where's the flag? Okay.
Okay, ready? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that was pretty organized. That's pretty good. Our first item is item number 2, consideration and action to approve the minutes from the meeting of June 22nd, or 24th, 2020. As you know, we did not have a July meeting. They were in your packet.
Commissioner Garza, move to approve.
Nori Garza, second.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was perfect.
Any corrections or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next we have is Mr. Samuel Bettis Jr. Here.
Yes, I am Pedro Cabral. I am stepping in for Samuel Perez.
Mr. Cabral, you were going to talk about the Veteran Service Office under the public comments section. So go ahead, sir.
All right, sir, we're just introducing our new grant. It's called the Broken Arrow Grant. What we are providing for veterans is rental assistance, mortgage assistance, and we're also providing vehicle repairs, especially with this flood that hit us with Hurricane Hannah. A lot of veterans have had their vehicles broken or flooded in. Another thing that we're helping out veterans, well, the surviving spouses, are the utility assistance, which would be the electric, water, gas, and we're also helping out for funeral expenses, especially with this COVID that hit us.
Okay. So anybody can apply for the veterans. Anybody veterans can apply for that service then.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Is anybody here from the legislative delegation? I didn't see anybody, right? Okay, next we'll go to item 4, administration and the presentation of the state action plans for the disaster funding allocations. Mr. Cruz.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Darling. Good afternoon, board members and audience. It's great to see everyone. It's been a long time. I know I'm still new to the game, so I figured the month would turn around real quick, but it's actually been long. So see everyone. We do have a presentation courtesy of the Texas General Land Office. They'll be presenting on the release of the state action plan for 2018 and 2019 disaster funding allocations. That public comment will close effective tomorrow. And so with that, just setting the stage, and then we'll have Ms. Esmeralda Sanchez, and she'll present or present the person who's going to make that short presentation to the board. Ms. Sanchez, are you on?
Yes, sir, I am. Thanks, Manny, for having us on today. I am part of the GLO CDR leadership team. My team is responsible for oversight and project implementation for all of the subrecipient housing and infrastructure contracts. And we will likely be working with many of you down the road. So I realize we have a short time today, so I'm going to hand it over to Sean Strange. He is the manager of our CDR policy development team. He will guide us through today's presentation. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Esmeralda, and thank you, board members, for having me presenting at this board meeting. This is a short slide deck. It should take less than 5 minutes. As you all know, this is the Texas General Land Office Community Development and Revitalization Program. My name is Sean Strange, manager of the policy development team. Next slide, please. So as you all know, there's 2 action plans, one for disaster year 2018, which we're calling the 2018 South Texas Floods Action Plan, and an additional action plan for the 2019 disaster years and the disasters that hit at Texas in 2019. Next slide, please. So there's the general CDBG DR requirements that are part of this action plan. Of course, there's the 80% that will be designated for the HUD most impacted and distressed counties. There is the 70% requirement for low and moderate income populations. and these funds must be expended within 6 years. Next slide, please. So the important component on this slide is the public comment period ending tomorrow, August 27th at 5 p.m. The action plan is due to HUD on August 31st, and this will be for the 2018 South Texas Floods Action Plan with the allocation amount of approximately $73 million. Next slide, please. These are the counties that are eligible for CDBG disaster recovery funding for 2018. The HUD most impacted and distressed county is Hidalgo County, with Cameron and Jim Wells being state designated most impacted and distressed counties. Next slide, please. For the 2019 Disasters Action Plan, this is an action plan in response to 2 disasters, the Lower Rio Grande Valley floods in June of 2019 and Tropical Storm Imelda in 2019. The public comment period also ends tomorrow at 5 p.m. for this action plan. This action plan is also due on August 31st, and the allocation amount is $212 million. Next slide, please. There's a variety of HUD most impacted and distressed counties for this action plan. There are 2 state mid counties, San Jacinto and Willacy. The GLO has designated Hidalgo County as a HUD mid county for this action plan. Next slide, please. There's a wealth of programs in these action plans. There's a housing programs suite of programs, and there's also an infrastructure suite of programs. The housing programs consist of a homeowner assistance program, a homeowner reimbursement program, and an affordable rental program. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you so much. The housing programs consist of these line item breakdowns. You can see for the 2019 disasters budget, there is a Tropical Storm Imelda line item and a Lower Rio Grande Valley floods line item for both the homeowner assistance program and the affordable rental program. Next slide, please. Infrastructure competitions are looking to provide long-term disaster recovery relief, and each applicant is able to submit 2 applications consisting of 1 project. Minimum awards are $250,000 with maximum awards being $1 million. Next slide, please. The infrastructure competitions have budgets, of course. For 2018, it's approximately $20 million, and the 2019 disasters budget is $57 million. Next slide, please. And these are the infrastructure competition scoring criteria. These will be detailed in through our guidelines and our application guidelines on our website in the future, but there are 5 criteria, and you can review these criteria in our action plan and on this slide deck that's been provided to you all. Next slide, please. Now, these are just some helpful links that are active in the PDF that should be provided to you all. There is our email account where public comments can be sent, our super website, our overall website at recovery.texas.gov, the public notice page where you can find our 18 and 19 action plans. And also don't forget our competitions for the mitigation funds, which are an aside to the DR funds, is still open. So be sure to check out our mitigation competitions webpage for any material still being sought by you all for our mitigation competitions. With that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Strange. Is there any questions?
I have one question. When do you anticipate this particular funds being open for application?
Great
question.
question.
Commissioner Garza.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we do anticipate submitting this action plan to HUD on the 31st, and then there's typically a 30 to 45 day potential turnaround time with HUD to provide us any sort of comments or clarifications in our action plan. And then there, of course, needs to get the application guide developed, as well as other materials that will support the competitions and other programs. And so it could be, I want to say, winter, springtime potentially, depending on when acceptance is, but those dates, of course, are not solid dates.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
So we're talking about a year from now, basically.
Given the current COVID environment and other programs that are going to be being launched in our agency, it could potentially be 1 year, but I don't want to, of course, tie us to that 1 year time frame.
No, but I mean, being reasonable in the process. And I say that those things because I think it gives ample time for all the entities to look and see if they have projects available and look at when they can fund them for in the process of making an application.
Exactly. So please do keep an eye on our website for additional materials and any announcements that come out regarding these two disaster action plans.
Okay, any other questions for anybody? Well, thank you, Mr. Strange and Ms. Sanchez. Any other things under this item A? Hearing none, we'll move on to the 2019 annual audit. Melissa Gonzalez from Oscar Gonzalez CPA Associates. Melissa, are you there?
She's on the right-hand side.
Yes, I am here. Good afternoon.
Okay, any highlights? I might point out that I'm sure everybody read the 175-page audit report. So unless there's any questions, there's two critical portions. The first one would be on page, I think 4, on page 2, it says that our financials meet all the accounting requirements and depict the proper financial conditions of the organization. And then on page 162, to me is the most important portion. It says, in the opinion of the auditor, that the COG complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements for all federal and state programs, which is so important because that's what we rely on for about 95% of our budget. So any other highlights, please?
Yes, the only other thing was that you did very well. Your finance department does an excellent job on keeping everything. In all our testing, there was no findings. You'll see that on the schedule of findings on page 165. There was none. Everything we tested, and we tested probably a little bit over 50% of the funding that you get to meet the requirements that we need to on your single audit. So everything was done very well.
Very good. Anybody have any questions or comments? Great job, staff. I think we need to commend the staff for a great job. And unless there's any questions, I entertain a motion to accept the 2019 annual audit as presented.
This is David Fuentes. I'll make a motion to approve.
David Fuentes.
Okay.
Johnny Garcia, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. No questions. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Item C, action on quarterly investment report. Is Ms. Balboa here?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. The quarterly investment report was provided in your tablets. If there are any questions, this requires board action.
Okay.
Commissioner Garza, move to approve as presented.
Nori Garza, second.
Okay, and no questions or comments. We have a motion and second. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item D, considering action for approval of the memorandum of understanding for the Trail Counter Project. Mr. Cruz.
I wrote trail.
Trail Counter Project. Counterfeiting.
Thank you, Mayor. This item requires board approval or action. As you can see, this is the initial list of cities. It's not exclusive to just those cities. As we go further along, other cities will be invited to venture into this project. And so the attachment is a template of the MOU. And I know it might be outlined with the signature page of a individual's name, but this is just a template that's going to move forward with all the listed jurisdictions or cities that are outlined on the summary. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have on this item.
Move to approve, City of FAR.
Thank you.
This is on the, this interlocal, right?
Yes, to approve the interlocal.
Yeah, so we're approving the interlocal. I have a motion for approval, City of FAR. Who seconded it?
I'll second it, Ron Mills.
Okay. I did have a question a little bit on these. I asked Mr. Cruz if we ever have any lawyers look over some of these contracts, especially on one that has a lot of ongoing duties and has potential liability. You know, I read through it as my position as president, not necessarily a lawyer, but it did raise a question on my hand. If we do have legal review contracts of this nature, where there are potential liability issues and obligations flow back and forth between us and all the member cities. So at any rate, I would also advise all the cities that are signing this to have their legal counsel look that over too. Unless there's any other comments, we have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye or raise their hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, consideration approval interlocal agreement for RGVDC cycle project.
Okay, for item E is the LRGVDC was awarded a grant through Valley Baptist Foundation and through the Transportation Alternative Program through the Rio Grande Valley MPO. And so again, this is to request approval for the interlocal agreement as it's presented. And so through the various grants awarded to the LRGVDC, we have been able to provide the option to the cities to access bike share for their communities by allowing a cash match of about 25% of the total cost to purchasing and owning the bike share docking station and bike share B-cycle. And so again, this is a template that will be presented, and those are the initial cities that have been identified. And I guess we'll be adding as we move further along. And of course, these documents are living documents that they can be presented before your legal counsel and board or city commission. And we're open to any changes that you might have. And so we're asking for board approval to approve the interlocal agreement for a B-cycle project.
I did have a question. When will we know the annual cash match? And I guess it's based on a number of docking stations they're going to require. Do we have any idea what the actual cost is going to be per docking station? Or?
We can send you all that, Mayor. It's broken down by the amount of equipment that's needed. So the city wants to purchase, but it'll contribute to the entire system.
Okay, so a city comes in and says, I need 3 biking stations,
right.
20 bikes, that would give them a price for what that would cost.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
How much money is available in total for this particular B-cycle project from the Legacy Foundation?
From the Legacy Foundation, it was a total award of $250,000, and that's being used to purchase bicycles because that's an unallowable cost through TxDOT. And then the rest of it is being used to purchase bike share stations for Cameron County.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Garza, move to approve.
City of FAR, second.
Okay, the motion is second. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is item F. Consideration and action to approve interlocal agreement for Hidalgo County Active Mobility Plan project with the MPO. Mr. Cruz?
Yes, Mayor. Item 4F is for interlocal agreement for the cities within Hidalgo County to move forward with the mobility plan project. And again, this was an award through the Rio Grande Valley MPO of approximately $400,000. This will require a 20% match or contribution from the cities to be able to venture into this project. And this project is basically identifying all the resources that are available to the community. For example, biking, horseback riding, kayaking, and to identify them in the plan. So in the future, we'll be able to connect all these resources so that they're identified and presented to the public for their use. And so staff is recommending approval for the interlocal agreement for the Hidalgo County Active Mobility Plan project.
So my understanding, this is just to hire the architects and engineers to design the plan.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All the cities participate.
Yes, sir.
And I guess in order to get funding, if they're going to go federal state funding later on, they would probably have to have their portion included in the plan overall.
That's correct. And before we move forward, some of these projects require that we formally, approve documents such as these, interlocal agreement. And so that's why we bring it before you. And it's a 5-year project, a total 5-year project, and it commenced in 2019.
Well, I've always wanted to kayak from McAllen to Brownsville, so I'm excited about that.
I'll be on there, Mayor, for sure.
Okay. So any other
Just
questions?
take the river, Mayor.
I hear you.
City of FAR, move to approve.
Okay. A second.
City of Edinburgh, second.
Motion second. All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item G, Executive Director Report. Mr. Cruz.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Just wanted to, the next item would be item 4G1, new staff members. So just as always, staff is the backbone of any organization. So I will make it a point to introduce, staff that has been promoted or when we hire new staff. As you will see in your packet, we are highlighting the well-deserved promotion of staff. It's Ms. Claudia Olmedo from Valley Metro, Armando Perez from admin. We hired him, and then Mr. Hector Chapa from Ecoms 911 was promoted as well. New hires you'll see as well. Ms. Yesenia Vallejo with admin, finance department. Bertha de la Garza for Health Human Services, AAA. Yvonne Designa from HHS and AAA. Gilbert Navarro, again from AAA. Derek Katz Nelson from our Community and Economic Development, and Sergio Cadeno from Valley Metro. So just, that way you can put face to the name if you ever see them around or, if they call you from time to time. And so the next item that I have for you is just an update on the census 2020, which is item 4G2. Just as you all were shocked as we were by the announcement of the shortening of the deadline for the census, we had to regroup here within the LRGVDC and see what we had, assess and evaluate our efforts with the census process or progress. And so as you know, a while back, a media campaign initiative was started. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank the cities and agencies that participated, and they actually contributed some funds for this media campaign initiative. And I'll list the cities and entities, which is Cameron County, Hidalgo County, Willacy County, cities of Brownsville, Edinburgh, Harlingen, La Feria, San Benito, Westlaco, and we have Lone Star National Bank, Futuro RGV, and us, the LRGVDC, contributed for a total of $34,500 that was collected. And so this campaign is a partnership with the city of Brownsville. The city of Brownsville is because they have their contracts with media outlets in the valley that exists. And so that would be the most, Edinburgh, I'm sorry, the city of Edinburgh. What did I say? This was the most efficient use of time and resources. And so along those lines, the actual projects that were implemented with these funds, pretty much advertisement having to do with the different media outlets such as Univision. What they're doing for us is providing different types of announcements through geofencing, YouTube, web banners, Facebook, mobile messages, mobile messages, and then Telemundo providing different of advertisement through, about the census to register. And we also have Texas Valley Communication, which consists of the Lupe. And so basically what we're focusing on is the hard to count population. And so these are the media outlets that we've identified so far that we're going to contract with to, or have contracted with to advertise the census. In addition to that, as you might remember, we did acquire another Valley Legacy Foundation grant. So with that, we purchased some iPads, and so far they've been very useful in regards to the census counts. We've been lending those out to the different agencies that requests. For example, Cameron County Precinct 4 requested the iPad, and so total households that were registered with the iPads was 330. And that consisted of Cameron County Precinct 4 under Santa Rosa, Los Niños, El Ranchito, and other local events that they had. And also the city of Brownsville, or the city of Edinburgh, had 203 households. City of Palmhurst, 86. And Cameron County, the clerk's office, we have yet to receive the final count. With excluding that for the time being, we have a total overall 619 households that were counted using the iPad. With Cameron County Clerk's Office pending with the numbers. As we get those, we will provide that information to you all. We're also concentrating on geofencing, and that's coming up. And again, just remember that we have to cut back as far as our time, just accordingly. So that's coming up here with it starting after today, here in the next month, September, ending September the 30th. And so that information will also be available, and we'll be venturing into that to focusing on the hardest to count population. With that, that concludes my to answer any questions.
Okay, no other questions. One thing that I think is very valuable, we now have all the census information and it's updated weekly. I think it's updated weekly, so you can really concentrate on your city or your area of the county where the response rate is particularly low. And that's probably what we need to do with this last month to be doing it, is to target that and help them knock on doors, et cetera, and get community leaders, faith leaders, et cetera, involved in those census tracts. I think is going to be very, very valuable. So get your city staff to take a look at the census tracts, and you can identify those areas very readily. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, and I think staff has been sending out the current percentages, and so I think we're still below the normal counts of 2010. So, but I know different agencies and cities are doing their best to go out there and advertise and get people counted, and so that's great. And so push forward, and hopefully we can accomplish and at least get up above what we were in 2010.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to department.
One comment. This is Judge, Mayor Darling.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Garza, one comment. Mr. Cruz, those iPads have come in real handy. Cameron County has had 5 events to date at different cities in the county. There's 3 more planned for this week and next week. And they sure do facilitate the process of getting people registered and counted much easier. We've partnered with school district and cities in most of the places, and it's been extremely well received. And then we had Noble Development Foundation that has been helping us provide, some barbecue place to folks that come by and register, their first time registers. We had, in Port Isabel, we had 175. In San Benito, we had about 90. And they had another one in Santa Rosa where they had over 100 families register. So it's been very helpful to use those iPads.
Good, thank you, Commissioner. And again, they're available. upon request. We are available when somebody requests. But I also just wanted, before I forget, not to forget to mention that we're working through our various departments programs within the LRGVDC, such as Valley Metro or 911, to identify certain events as we're considered an essential part of operations, even though we're under this COVID situation. But these departments still interact with public, such as 911 still provides addresses to the rural population. And obviously, our Valley Metro still conducts operations all over the valley. So we're advertising using every available resource to get the word out.
Okay, well, thank you. And yeah, we got to do a push for the next 30 days. We get, it's going to affect us for the next 10 years. Okay, community, item 5, community Department of Economic Development, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, item number 1 is an action item, is the consideration and action to approve acceptance of Texas Water Development Board funding in the amount of $100,000 and $44 and contingent upon Texas Water Development Board approval and meeting the LRGVDC requirements, procurement requirements, execute subcontract with the Search Applied Technology Education and Services rates to conduct freshwater flow monitoring and reporting.
Okay, so and this item will be doing several things. You're asking us also to approve the rate contract subject to the funding by Texas Water Development Board?
Subject to their approval, approving the subcontract. That's something that we need to do before we bring it to the board.
Move to approve CDFR.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion second. And this has been recommended by the RERAC subcommittee of the Council of Government.
Who seconded it? It was caller 7, wasn't it? But who's caller 7?
Who seconded the motion, please?
I'm sorry, sir. Speak up. We could not hear you.
You might be muted.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and second and a recommendation. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 2, A2.
Item A2 is to consideration and action to approve the nominee for Solid Waste Advisory Committee. The SWAC unanimously recommended Mr. David Avila with RDA Technologies to fill the vacancy in the private sector category on the SWAC. The SWAC is recommending approval of the nomination.
Okay.
This is David Fuentes. I make the motion to approve.
CDFR, second.
Okay, I have a motion and second for approval of the appointment. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Sign. Motion carried. Item 3.
Item number 3 is consideration and action to approve Solid Waste Advisory Committee SWAC recommendations to redistribute the TCEQ solid waste fund allocated for the tire study. Unfortunately, we did not receive any bids for the tire study, and so the SWAC convened to decide the next step for the amount of funding that we had for the study, which was $40,000. And so the SWAC is recommending to move forward to continue with the road to recycling events for next year and to hire interns, one or more, to develop the regional solid waste management plan. The SWAC is recommending approval.
So, move to approve CDFR.
Mr. Cruz is city of Lyford. Can you hear me? Hello? Mr. Cruz. I think the Mayor Cruz
Cushing has his, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, what have we been financing prior to this request? Have we've been spending money on a study?
No, we actually went out for bids. So the only money that we spent was a few $1,000s to advertise on the newspaper. And so we went out to solicit bids to try to hire a consultant to do a tire study. That was the initial recommendation from the SWAC at that time. And so since we advertised, we did not receive any bids in. And so the SWAC had to reconvene to decide to redirect the funds, continue to advertise again, or redirect the funds to another project.
We don't need DCQ.
No.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So how have we been picking up all these tires on this recycled road to recycle? And see, what I'm getting at is prior to you filling your position, we had done a study. They had visited. Can't remember what the state was, and there was a plan to eventually construct our own recycling and reusable type of project for these tires, so that this could continue in the future. What happened to that study, or where are we at with that, or is that just that no longer exists?
The tire study, I'm not aware of any that were conducted in the past, other than the road to recycling. Those projects still continue. And I think for the past 3 or 4 years, we've been engaged in that process, the road to recycling, collection of tires. And so basically we identify, and this is based on volunteer cities or counties volunteering, because there's some money associated or match associated with that. So the money that we have within the SWAC or TCEQ, we use that, and cities contribute a portion. And so we identify the participants and the sites that are going to be used. And from there, we contract with local management firms, or like BFI, Waste Management, to go out around and collect, well, not necessarily collect from the sites that people go to drop off the tires. And that's based on the entity, whether it's the city, the county. I guess the requirements will be based on those, whatever requirements they have, because they cannot just arbitrarily just take a ton of tires. There's only restrictions for example, 3 to 4 tires per household, based on verification of address and that type of information. So that's what the SWAC decided to continue, is to move forward with next year to use these funds to continue that project for collection of tires, road to recycling project.
Okay, so I guess my question, my underlying question is, what exactly is the $40,000 going to be useful? Is it for the matching funds? Is it for us to solicit a site where we can take, it says there, or you mentioned it's for a study.
What the action item, the summary of the action item reads that the LRGVDC did not receive any responses for the request for qualifications to do a tire study. So therefore, the SWAC recommends the redistribution of the $40,000 budgeted for this tire study to fund the 2021 Road to Recycling project events, and to hire 1 or more interns to research and develop a required regional solid waste management plan. So the 40,000 will be used for next year's 2021 Road to Recycling for the collection of tires, and a portion of that, which I anticipate maybe $3,000 to $5,000 of that, will be used to hire interns temporarily to do the study that, not the study, but the solid waste management plan, update that, because it is required by TCEQ that plan be in place. So to answer your question, Commissioner, that is what the funds are going to be used for, to continue the road to recycling and to hire interns.
Okay. Manuel, there was some discussion. I know that Ron discussed this idea that the gentleman mentioned, and that was of developing a processing facility for tires here in the Rio Grande Valley. I believe he even visited such a facility. Did that just go by the wayside, or are we still working on that idea? Whatever became of that?
I think that that was going to be based on whatever the tire study came out with, and so that would identify certain factors and will provide us with information. Would provide us with information as to what route to take to develop such a facility. But unfortunately, we didn't have any firms submit bids, and so that's where we stand at this point in time.
Okay, I'd like to know, but I'd like to have a better answer than that. A little more detail than, are we just giving up on that idea, or is it, there was some genesis of the idea, and Ron proposed it. You might want to call him and ask him what he was thinking and what he found out, or somebody may have worked on that with him, and let's get some more detail on that. Thank you.
Make a motion to table since we have.
I agree. We need a regional center, and we need to study that more and perhaps channel our money into soliciting or doing a wider search of soliciting the center that Ron went to visit. I think it was Oklahoma or somewhere like that. It was out of state, I believe, where they didn't have a regional center. And so I think we need to channel our efforts and our plans and our money into doing that, because we do need a regional center here for tire collection.
Staff, do you want to, Brenda, you want to comment on?
Yes, hi there, I'm Brenda. I'm from the LRGVDC. Yes, Mr. Garza did visit the Arkansas Tire Accountability Program, and it's a state program that promoted sustainable, environmentally sound, and cost-effective practices of tire waste and reduction, reuse, and recycling. So when he went to visit that center, that's where he was getting all these great ideas of how we can transform or how we could use tires in a more eco-friendly way here in the valley. So Mr. Garza did visit that center, and after that visit, he mentioned that he wanted to do the tire study to see if we could repurpose tires as a reusable and eco-friendly resource here. So that's why we had the tire study, so that we could see what results we could get from there, so we could move forward to try to establish this program. But since we did not have any submittals, that's why we're requesting to redistribute those funds, because if we repost again, we may not have enough time to finish this money, and the funds need to be expended by July 31st. And right now we do have a deliverable due with TCEQ, which is the Solid Waste Management Plan update. So we would like to use those funds to complete this update that's due to TCEQ.
Well, that's nice. That's great. I understand now that that we would have to rework this bidding process, but I would like to continue to pursue this idea. I remember when Ron explained it to us. It wasn't going to be it was going to go in phases, and eventually it would help the valley take care of itself with the
tire recycling. So
Yes,
I
Commissioner
would.
Salinas,
Monday.
the SWAC did decide that for next year's funding cycle, they do want to revisit this tire study. So it's not something that's going to be ignored or pushed off to the side. It's just that we need to move forward with spending these funds before the 31st, but that is a possibility that the SWAC will go ahead and reinitiate this program.
With that clarification, I also support a motion to accept.
I will second the motion. This is Commissioner Garza. I do have one additional question. When is the regional solid waste management plan supposed to be done and take the central TCQ? What's the deadline?
It's supposed to be completed, sir, at the end of next year.
Okay.
We had approval already. Originally was a motion to approve and second before we had all the discussion, so we'll go back to the original motion. Is there any other, which is to accept the staff recommendation on this item to repurpose the money? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, next item is,
I got the update real quick. I got an update on the report.
okay, go ahead and do update on report.
Thank you, Brenda and Salinas. Thank you very much for that clarification. And rest assured that moving forward, we'll revisit next year and try to identify other funds to be able to continue. I highly believe in the study. And so, but that's the first step to get us where we want to be eventually, whether it's as a whole or in phases. I think the study will prove useful to get us where we want to be. So I just wanted to provide you with an update on the road to recycling we had. The road to recycling, the event that took place Saturday, June the 6th, we had 29 participants, the total of 44 collection sites, and we collected 20,000 tires throughout the region that were removed from the roads and drainage systems. And so that's pretty good. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Derek. He has an update from the RORAC. That's something that's going to be presented in the future, but just wanted to give you a heads up on what's coming your way. So Derek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cruz. Good afternoon, board members. One of the highlights for the Community and Economic Development Department in the last month was the recommendation by the Regional Water Resource Advisory Committee, RORAC, to consider creating an exploratory committee to investigate the process and capacity to operate a Clean Rivers program for the Lower Rio Grande Valley region. Proposed structure would be to have the LRGVDC to be the administrative entity with the Clean Rivers program partner to be the Rio Grande Regional Water Authority. For the next month, discussion and possible action will occur at the RORAC meeting scheduled for September 9th, 2020, and possibly to be brought before the board in our September meeting.
What's that? Small cities, call it. You want to go through those?
No.
Is that it for?
That's it. Yes, that's it.
Okay. Region M, is that next, right?
Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services.
Oh, Health and Human Services. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, no, I know. On the reservoir levels, let me talk about that. Since all our member cities went below 50%, we're now into certain conservation requirements. And so that you need to review those if you haven't. As you know, the reservoir system has been depleted. Mexico still owes us over 1 million acre-feet of water, and that's going to be what can fill those reservoirs up and put us over 50%. They are having difficulty doing that, and as you know, Mexican pays their debt. 1/3 of the water comes to the United States, 2/3 goes into the reservoir for use by Mexicans down further in the state of Tamaulipas, and so it's not just 1 million acre-feet, it's a 3 million acre-feet obligation for Mexico. I think, which creates a problem. We've been trying to get the treaty amended to recognize some of that difficulty because of the changes in the reservoir system within Mexico since the treaty was signed. But at any rate, all those cities have to be aware of the situation relating to their Texas Water Development Board and TCEQ conservation programs. Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, where is he?
Okay, can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, members of the board, good afternoon. I have just status reports, but one of the things I wanted to point out, Mayor Darling, you had asked a question last month, the last board meeting about the quality assurance on the home delivered meals. And so we're completing the quality assurance survey on the program. And so we'll have a report ready for the board next board meeting in September.
Right. I went to a distribution, but they wouldn't let me taste the food. True story. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions for Mr. Gonzalez? Hearing none. Public safety, Mr. Cruz.
Under Public Safety action, or item number 1 is the consideration and action to approve a contract extension to the next generation 911 for Enterprise Geospatial Database Management System, EGDMS, Managed Services Project. The vendor was selected. This is a state requirement. It was selected by Commission on State Emergency Communications Statement of Work. And so we are just formally passing this, approving this, so we can initiate payments on a quarterly basis. So, we're asking for your approval.
Move to approve, CDFR.
Do I have a second?
City of Edinburgh.
Okay, motion and second for item C1, Geospatial Database Management System. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Item 2, can you do these 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the same time?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll take 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the same time unless you have objections. All right. Any questions on those items? They were all in your packet. Hearing no.
No objection. I'll move to approve items 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Nori.
Second, CDFR.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving items 2, 3, 4, and 5 under the program actions for public safety, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, no other reports there, Regional Academy or anything?
No, just the reports are in your tablet or packet. I'd be happy to answer questions you might have. If not, we can move forward.
Okay. Transportation, Tom and Andrew Cannon are both here. Item 1 is action to approve Valley Metro Hidalgo County MOU.
Yes, staff is recommending approval from the board to authorize us to enter into an MOU with the Hidalgo County Precinct 4 for the construction and installation of a bus shelter at the HHC clinic in San Carlos, Texas. Staff recommends approval. And I also want to give the opportunity to our partners to address the board. Honorable Commissioner Torres from Precinct 4, Hidalgo County, our own Veronica Gonzalez, UTRGV board member, and Dr. Renaud, UTRGV Senior Associate Dean for Community Health and Partnerships.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Ellie Torres over at Precinct 4, and with me I have my 2 chiefs, Dr. Culbertson and Ms. Belinda Reyes. And we would just want to take this opportunity to say thank you and to also share the excitement that we're experiencing in knowing that this much needed bus shelter and bus stop is coming to our precinct really, really soon. We want to thank UTRGV for coming to us with this idea that we knew right away was a much needed opportunity for our constituents. Not only will it serve for the purpose of uniting our students, our college level students to the university, but also to give access to that AHEC clinic that we have there. as well as to the WIC services that we offer to our community, as well as to our Head Start program that is located there in the heart of San Carlos. In addition to that, in the future, that's going to also provide opportunity for the constituents in that area to have access to our downtown and our new courthouse and things of that nature. So we're just excited. And believe it or not, I had about a year ago, I actually had some parents that reached out and said, hey, could this be a consideration for this area? Because there's a lot of students out in that area that need access to the university. And so when UTRGV came, it was like, you know what, that was at the tip of our tongue. And so we're excited with this, and we want to thank you sincerely. And on behalf of the constituents from that area and Precinct 4, thank you UTRGV. And this is just the way to go, and we're excited.
Thank you. This is Veronica Gonzalez with UTRGV. Dr. Renault was on the line as well. He had a meeting at 1, so he had to leave. But on behalf of UTRGV, we want to thank LRGVDC and of course Commissioner Torres for really running with the idea when we came to her. We all know that access to education and healthcare are critical, and this bus stop and this bus shelter are going to help us to improve on that access. As she mentioned, we have a area health education clinic nearby there in San Carlos, and some of the people that have the least opportunity to have transportation are the ones that need to visit that clinic. So we thank everyone for working together and collaboratively to make this a possibility. Thank you.
Move to approve, City of FAR.
Okay, so a second.
Second, City of Edinburgh.
Okay.
City of Edinburgh, second.
Motion and second to approve the Valley Metro Hidalgo County MOU. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 2.
Consideration and action to approve procurement of heavy-duty parts from our Gaelic bus manufacturer for our Gaelic fleet.
Okay. We need them to keep the buses rolling, so I have a motion.
Move to approve, City of FAR.
Okay.
Second, City of Edinburgh.
Second, City of Edinburgh. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Committee reports. I had a question. We're still, most of the stuff not related to going to class anymore. How is the ridership report? How are we doing? What's our anticipation through the fall, Tom?
Ridership report, we're looking at still increasing. We're averaging about 15,000 passengers per month. Normally will be 70,000 per month. On the second wave, we noticed that there was a decrease in July. So I guess people are following recommendations to stay home. And but we're seeing more activity now, and people are following our recommendations to wear face covering and social distancing.
Very good. Any other questions for Tom?
Well, Mayor, I'd like to add really quick, and this encompasses all of our programs within the LRGVDC. Just wanted to emphasize that the LRGVDC cannot do these type of initiatives without the cooperation and collaboration of the partnerships, especially at this juncture when the whole world has been dealing with the ongoing pandemic, and more closer to home, Hurricane Hannah or hurricanes yet to come. We hope that they never do, at least for this hurricane season. But we know that and understand that everyone is experiencing hard times. The partnerships that we have established and forged over the years must remain in place. These partnerships have led to the implementation of numerous successful projects, both single or regional in nature. We all contribute, all of us win. And it's uncertain how long these disasters will carry on. But I only ask that you continue our collaboration and partnerships, because again, if the LRGVDC succeeds, we all succeed, and especially our community, our public, who heavily relies on these different types of resources. So if we approach you with projects It's for the benefit of your communities, of your organizations, and not so much for the LRGVDC. So every funding that we get, every type of funding that we get, just comes in and goes out to the different programs. So I highly encourage and would like to continue to forge different partnerships, and our existing partnerships, keep them in place. So I thank you very much for your support of the LRGVDC and for being a part of it.
Thank you, Manuel. I noticed Andrew was with us. I don't know if he's still with us from Rio Grande Valley MPO. We have a meeting almost at 1:30 today. Anybody wants to listen in, they certainly could do so. Otherwise, we have any new or unfinished business from anyone? Okay, hearing none. Thanks for being at the meeting. Our next meeting is September 30th, 2020. It's a Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll be meeting in person, but if we're not, we'll be ready to Zoom. So thank you very much. Meeting's adjourned.
Time is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Well,